I'm not excusing myself from this either. I will have someone play me to delve into the murky, cowardly depths of my lonely, fucked up being. And he'll get notes too, and those notes will correspond to the notes I truly receive every day from my God. Get to work!
Synecdoche, New York is written and directed by Charlie Kaufman, and it stars the legendary Philip Seymour Hoffman. And this was probably one of the most substantive mindfucks I've ever had in my life. So Charlie Kaufman is a writer-filmmaker that I'm actually kind of familiar with. I haven't seen all of his filmography or anything like that, but I am a huge fan of pretty much every film that I've seen, including Adaptation, including Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Anomalisa was a really brilliantly animated film. And I know that Adaptation was directed by Spike Jonze, but I believe he had a part in writing that film. And that Adaptation also has a really brilliantly written meta type feel to it as well, the same way that Synecdoche, New York has. I'll get into that later, obviously. But Charlie Kaufman is definitely a filmmaker that I have absolute huge respect for, because one thing that I've noticed about his films that really separate him from everything else is that I genuinely believe that Charlie Kaufman is probably one of the most intelligent writers that we currently have. Because every single time I see a film from Charlie Kaufman, it's incredibly layered with so much substance, but on top of the substance, it's just written always in this really brainy and existential and incredibly clever way. And I just really love that about his films, because you just don't get writers like that who put so much effort and creativity and, intelligence into their scripts. And I just love him for that. And with Synecdoche, New York, it's just like Charlie Kaufman on steroids. Like, it's just, this film is so incredibly layered with so many themes, so much substance. It also just has brilliant acting in it. Philip Seymour Hoffman just gives an incredible performance. Obviously, that's not a surprise to no one. I really enjoyed this film a lot. I think there's so much to discuss after you're watching this film, and I love films that give you so much to talk about after it's over, and there's just no way that you could walk out of this film and just be like, okay, I'm good. I think I got it. No, this film, honestly, I'm probably going to rewatch it sometime soon, because it just feels like a film that demands you to keep watching it, because there's just so much stuff that happens, so many ins and outs, so many characters that have certain arcs, and so many different separate scenes that you're not even sure what they mean at the time, that, once it's all over, you feel like the urgent need to go back and revisit everything, because it just throws so much at you. It's so incredibly layered with so much. And when I was talking about Adaptation and mentioned that it had a kind of like a meta feel, Synecdoche, New York has like a meta times 5,000 feel, because it's just like, this film, it just feels like it broke like the eighth wall. Like, it's just, I've never seen a film just go like meta on top of meta on top of meta in the way that this film did. It's just very self-aware. Oh yeah, but I guess I should explain what meta means to those who don't know. Meta just means that it's incredibly self-aware about what it's doing, and its awareness of its own characters and the fact that it's a movie itself. It's just a very self-aware kind of film. And this film definitely goes there in really deep places. And it's such a somber film, but also incredibly beautiful in a way. Because I know a lot of people watching this film could just be like, damn, this film is depressing. Like, why is everything in this film so damn sad and tragic? Which I can kind of sympathize with that criticism, even though I don't think it's the most valid criticism. I can see someone getting tired of just how incredibly moody and somber this film is, because it just feels like every scene is stacking on something else that's just sad and tragic to Philip Seymour Hoffman's character, and even other characters in this film as well. But, Philip Seymour Hoffman plays a character in this film that just feels like he just can't get any kind of relief or break in his life. Sure, he's kind of big-headed in a way because in this film he plays like a theater artist and director. But, you know, he's as big-headed as your average artist. Like, in my opinion, he didn't seem to have this gigantic ego. And sure, one of the biggest plot points of the film is Philip Seymour Hoffman's character using grant money to try to make this gigantic, impressive theater display that's basically all about himself and his life. So in that way, sure, he's pretty big-headed. But to me, it seems like he's only making this giant theater play about himself to kind of cope with his reality that he's dealing with. So it's not like he's doing it because he wants to show off. He feel like he's doing it out of emotional necessity. I just love how incredibly nuanced his character is and how nuanced a lot of other characters in this film are too, because Hoffman's character has a wife who just does some really questionable shit, obviously, in this film. And you just can't help but feel for Hoffman. And then Hoffman also has this kind of love interest named Hazel, but just can't quite connect with her because of his inner feelings about the current situation. And there's just so much nuance to other characters in this film. Like I just said, Hazel, the dynamic between Hoffman's character and the character named Hazel. By the way, I keep saying Hoffman's character. His character is named Caden in this movie. For some reason, I just can't. It's Philip Seymour Hoffman. But he has this love interest with Hazel. And that dynamic is just like, it's really, really insightful and just emotionally draining and complex and tragic. And I just thought it was really interesting to see their dynamic play out like that, especially the way that it kind of establishes itself and the way that it finalizes near the end of the movie. I thought was just very well written, very well done, very well acted. And there's also some parts of this movie, one particularly having to do with a burning house that Hazel lives in. And it just reminded me so much of Brazil, or just like Terry Gilliam films in general, because it just reminded me so much of having this kind of social satire element to it. And I really enjoyed that aspect of the film, and it's just extremely layered. Like, I can't say that enough. This film is layered with so much character, so much theme, so much metaphor, so much story, that it's really challenging to just let your mind try to dissect and unpack all of it, because there's just so much going on. I do believe that one of the bigger YouTubers named YMS, Adam, for those people who know Adam, I think he has like a 5-part or 6-part, or I don't know, but it's a really long analysis video on this film. And at first I was like, doesn't really need all that much, but after I'm watching this film, I'm like, yeah, it definitely needs that much, if not more, because there is just so much complexity within this film. It is not surface level at all. There is so much going on that I honestly think that it'll turn a lot of people away, because, I mean, not film lovers. I think most film lovers can stick with this film and enjoy it. But I think, you know, just your casual moviegoer probably would not be able to get into this because, one, it's just, again, it's pretty depressing throughout the entire thing. It's just a really somber film. And also, again, like, it's a mindfuck. Like, it just gets really, really, I don't want to say confusing, but a little bit disorienting, because it just goes, the way that this film's structured, it kind of jumps in time really quickly, and events kind of happen, and then it leaves and goes on to the next thing. So it doesn't really sit around and let scenes sit, really. It just kind of moves rather quickly, and I can see people being turned off by that. But, you know, once you get into the rhythm of what this movie's feeling and what this film's trying to do, I think it really works, and you're able to kind of catch up with this film's structure. And I thought it was just really creatively ambitious. You don't really get films like this often, because they're just so ambitious with its story, and everything else that's involved in the filmmaking is just ambitious with everything. And it's just a really impressive piece of filmmaking. And I'm pretty sure most people watching this film who love film can't deny that it's really, really impressive. The only thing that I kind of have criticisms for is that, one, the fact that it kind of, its unconventional structure of moving rather quickly and having leaps through time and just kind of going in and out of different situations, I feel like that kind of held me back from getting more attached to the more emotional moments in the film. Now, that doesn't mean that the emotional moments didn't work for me. I definitely felt some genuine emotion throughout pretty much every scene, but I think that I might have felt more emotional weight if the film just allowed certain scenes to kind of sit and let the pace just kind of slow down for a little bit. But this film just felt like really fast. And there's also some elements to the story that seemed kind of too conveniently depressing. And I know that sounds kind of weird coming out of my mouth, but there just seems like times in the film that something really tragic would happen too fast and too conveniently for the time to make it more depressing, for the sake of trying to make it more sad for Philip Seymour Hoffman's character. And I know that kind of sounds nitpicky, but it was something that I thought about when I was watching the film. And the fact that it just subconsciously came into my mind as I was watching it, kind of makes me think that it's kind of a fair criticism, because there are times where it just seems like, why would that tragic thing conveniently happen right there, right now? But these criticisms, they're not hard criticisms at all. They're more kind of nitpicks, to be honest. But they were kind of noticeable when I was watching it, so I just kind of thought I'd say them. But overall, I sincerely enjoyed this film. I think it's incredibly smart, it's emotional, it's metaphorical, it's thematic, it's really just mind-bending in a way, and surreal. By the way, yeah, this film is also surreal, because, like I said, I mentioned something about a burning house, and the theater play of himself. Like, I know I'm kind of getting into spoiler territory by saying stuff like that, but there's so much about this film that really feels like you're in reality, but at the same time, it feels like you're in a different kind of multiverse. And that was just something that was really special about this film. On top of it being creative, on top of it being thematic and everything else, it was just a real treat to have pretty much all aspects of filmmaking come in full force in the way that it did. So I'm going to give Synecdoche, New York a 9 out of 10. I'm not really sure which Charlie Kaufman film I honestly love more, because, in terms of writing, I think I might still love Adaptation just a slight bit more, because I feel like that movie just got me a bit more emotionally. But in terms of Kaufman as a director, I think Synecdoche, New York will probably take the cake, because it was just brilliant in almost every way. And I really enjoyed the film. Well, thank you so much for hearing what I had to say about Synecdoche, New York. How many Charlie Kaufman films have you seen? And all the ones you've seen, which one is your favorite? Please do not forget to follow me on Twitter if you haven't already. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to be updated on more film-related content.